Thank you so much for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. I am TD Flenaugh, a national board certified educator and parent who is on a mission to ensure that parents have the strategies, resources, and skills needed to make sure that they know how to get their kids on track for learning and to stay on track for success. And thank you so much for joining me on Well Educated Wednesdays. We meet every Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific time to really get to the heart of what it takes to get our kids on track for learning and to stay on track for success. Consistency is something that a lot of us may not think about. And all of us have consistency. It just depends on what it is. And for children to be successful, we need to show them, what they need to learn how to do consistently. So are they going to have a reading habit that's going to help them? Sometimes, they're going to be a basketball star, so they're working out consistently and going to practice consistently. And of course, they could be a good reader and of course, a good writer and a good basketball player at the same time. They also can be organizing themselves and really have a habit of organizing themselves. So when I talk about consistency, I'm going to be talking about, a habit. When you do something consistently, it becomes a habit. It becomes a normal thing for you to be doing. I have my tea here. I often do my Well Educated Wednesdays with my tea. But it's something that we really need to think about. What do they do consistently? What do our kids do consistently? And how could that either support them in their goals? Or what is it something that they should be doing regularly to support them in their goals and help them to form that habit? Now, habits are formed by, of course, scheduling that time that they're going to do whatever it is that they need to be working on consistently. So we know that we're going to give them, a particular day, a particular time, a particular length of time that they'll be working on their skill. And I said this before, if the goal is for them to be, for example, reading 30 minutes a day, and maybe they're not ready for the 30 minutes, help them work up to that amount. So you might just start them off with 5 and then consistently, whatever time it is of that day or how many days of the week that they're going to be practicing or forming that habit, you will be helping them to grow in the amount of time, increase the amount of time that they're dedicated to that craft. So I just want to tell you, this is one of the really a stickler for me because I have had students who really need support. They really are behind academically in a particular area. Let's say it's reading or writing. And I'll have a time for them to come and work with me and they could get better. And, I made the mistake one time of really, really, really giving the student some compliment or praise because they came once or twice. And then, because I said they're really good and I know with continued practice, they're going to be really great, right? And that child stopped coming after that. And I really was like, wow, they could have been so strong if they had continued in that. But sometimes that encouragement for some people makes them feel like, oh no, I'm doing fine. Instead of like, well, I see the light at the end of the tunnel is kind of what I'm trying to say. Like they need a lot of practice and I can see with just a little bit of support how much they can grow. And with that consistency, they're going to get on grade level. They're going to be able to reach the goal of being a good reader. But, in that case, that student did not continue and their skills improved a little bit, but not as much as they could have if they got that extra support. And I am a part of a podcast, like masterclass, and I work with a coach, David Shands, and a CJ. And they're saying, like, consistency is the only cheat code, right? Basically, really on a regular basis, getting practice in on a regular basis, forming the habit of working on whatever your craft is. In my case, I'm a podcaster now. That is your cheat code. You're putting that practice in place, you're getting that habit into place, and you're getting better because you're putting in the practice. And a lot of times kids don't even get to the point where they are really benefiting from that practice. Oh, here's my cousin. Thanks for coming. They don't have that practice in place for themselves because it feels hard at the beginning. They just feel like, oh, it's hard and I'm not going to continue to practice. I'm not good at it. Instead of getting that practice in on a regular basis and to the point where they get good, right? Malcolm Gladwell has a quote: practice isn't the thing that you do once you're good, right? It's the thing that makes you good. And some kids don't understand that. They get really upset or discouraged when it's really challenging at the beginning, when we know that sometimes it does start rough at the beginning. But if they keep working and keep pumping themselves up and help encouraging themselves, eventually they'll see that growth and they'll see themselves improve in ways that they couldn't see at first. And it's a part of our jobs, parents, right? To help pump our kids up, help to give them those boosts of confidence, help them to give that encouragement, tell them what we notice that's good about what they're doing, and tell them to keep working. And that's what's going to make the difference between our students being successful in a class, being successful at learning a skill, and then ultimately being successful in finding a job. Yes, we have someone coming from Sacramento, California. You're welcome to join us on the live if you want to chime in. If you have a question for us, we're glad to hear from you. But yes, so it's really important, again, that those habits are formed, because children are realizing that another aspect of it is it's the learning process, right? Practicing and forming a habit, getting that consistency helps them through the learning process. And of course, there's some things that they're going to be learning that they're really excited about and that they really feel like this is a gift or a talent. And we know, let's face it, some of the stuff that they're going to be learning about is not going to be fun at all. It's not going to be their talent. It's going to be something that they're not good at naturally. Of course, we know that people have inclinations or talents, and it's really big for them, easy for them to do, and they have some enjoyment from it. But others, they don't. And, that's the thing. When they are learning the responsibility, this is leading to responsibility, of course. When they are able to form a habit, they get that discipline and they have that growth. And later on, it helps them to really be a responsible person, a responsible adult. And one day, when they become parents, they can be responsible. Because even when they don't feel like doing something, they understand the process and they keep working. Yes, absolutely. Consistency does give them confidence. It helps them to be able to navigate those harder kind of parts of a task that they have to do, and really helps them to keep gaining confidence in themselves, have pride in what they've accomplished. And it really is a way that they can document for themselves their strength and their power. right? If they got it through this, they got through this situation, they kept going even when it was difficult, even when it was hard, or even when it's boring, they keep going. It shows how much they can learn and grow. Hello, parents and caregivers. Join us every Wednesday for our Well Educated Wednesdays on Instagram Live from 5:30 to 6 o'clock. We will be getting your questions answered about how to get kids on track for learning and to stay on track for success. It's free, and you can ask any question that you would like. We're here to serve you and to make sure that you have the tools and strategies needed to make sure your kids are a success. And you can make sure that next generation is on a path to greatness. So it's something we really have to think about. Are we really building those pathways for kids? Oh, of course. Multifaceted, competent adults. Yes, thank you, Tikisi. Very important. Because again, sometimes it's about things that they really love to do, they really enjoy doing, that maybe they already have a natural inclination for. And sometimes it is not. Oh, Mount Garbia is here. He's on this week's podcast of the Falling for Learning podcast. If you'd like to go live with us, you can. Let me know. Yeah, on the Falling for Learning podcast this week, we have Mount Garbia. He is a aircraft technical engineer, and he has a really fascinating story that would hook him into learning and a career of gainful employment after working several dead-end jobs. So, yeah. Yeah, that's important. So when we talk about consistency and success, his is an example where, he was working, but he wasn't working in a career that was really fulfilling for him, either financially or just as far as purpose goes. And, he'd found that career path. And again, that's a challenge that our kids may face, right? They might just be working different jobs and trying out different careers and not able to really land on what they want to do. Of course, we want them, a lot of them, the path that a lot of people set in at schools and everything is, let's just go to a 4-year university and find our path, but it's not always that easy. For people, it doesn't fit for everyone, or they don't make it through for a variety of different reasons. And finding that career path is sometimes challenging. But again, that goes with consistency. Keep trying new things. And yes, Tikiti is saying, educationally capable to try new things. Yeah, that's another thing, right? Do we have those skills to try new things? Sometimes, if we have limited reading skills or writing skills or math skills, then it's like we're limited in what we can do. So that's why it's really important for parents to have that consistency with the kids, help them consistently with their work, checking their work consistently, so they're consistently delivering and getting their work done on time and meeting those challenges every grade level that they are in. And, as they're a youth, yes, they're building confidence, and we're helping to build confidence in them as well. And they will expect, if you consistently are checking their work and talking to them about school and engaging in what they're learning in and engaging them in learning activities at home, they will consistently deliver for you and expect it from you, and know that that's what the expectation is for them. But, the big message here is, consistency is the only cheat code, and really helping our kids to find success comes from building positive habits, and those habits form into discipline and to really strong character traits that are going to carry them forward in their lives. And, the success, can look very different for different people. That could be a 4-year degree. That could be entrepreneurship. It might also be learning a trade. It looks different for different people. But, whatever it is, consistently practicing that skill, practicing those gifts are going to get them, to the next stage or to the next level. And it will help them to learn and enjoy and know what to expect from the learning process, and that's basically expect the unexpected. You don't know what challenge is going to come your way, but you are going to be challenging yourself to move forward. And you've proven to yourself that you could do that in the past, and you're going to continue on that pathway. Yeah. It's always good for us to have this time in the middle of the week to just reflect on, our learning and our learning goals and what we can do to make sure our kids stay on track for learning and stay on track for success. And it does start with a good, solid foundation for their learning, making sure, again, those really basics are down, the reading, the writing. And even I also really talk about helping them develop their listening and speaking skills is really important, because when they need to do an interview, they need to advocate for themselves. You really need to be able to talk through and explain your side in a professionol way, in a succinct way, and in a way that makes sense. And the inability to do that can definitely hold you back from leadership positions, as well as just really get your whatever you're thinking about to really be dismissed. So, or really what you're trying to advocate for, because it's not clear to the people that you're trying to advocate for. So, yeah, it's really important. So, really have to think about what are the goals that you want your child to achieve, and what are those specific habits that need to be formed, right? And how do you continue to nurture those gifts so that children can get that consistency that makes sure that later on it's going to pay off in success. And again, it's not just the consistency that leads to success, but it also leads to them becoming, developing these character traits that are also going to carry them forward, and positive relationships and positive, just having a really good life, and a life that's productive and engaging and fulfilling. So when we talk about success, we talk about it in multiple ways. Yeah. Absolutely. Literacy is the reading, the writing, the listening, and the speaking, of course. And of course, we always talk about math as well. Having those skills is really important, because it supports you in multiple ways. Especially, I often talk about career pathways, but we also need to think about, what kids need to do as adults to take care of their own business, right? To pay their bills, to take care of their family, to build that generational wealth. And all of that is really important. It doesn't happen, it hasn't happened for certain people because of discrimination or laws that were unfair. But, helping them to get that solid base of literacy and math, and able to really know that learning process and have the consistency to stick with it is going to help them, propel them into the future. So that's the cheat code: consistency, having some goal that they're working on and consistently working for it. Yep. Breaking cycles. Absolutely. Yeah. And you might be that child that's breaking that cycle, and you want to make sure you keep moving it forward with your child. Yeah. Building families and communities that are healthy and, are strong. And that's another thing that we need to talk about with consistency is healing. Are we doing things that are healing ourselves, that are making sure that we're nurturing ourselves, the self-care, and consistently putting ourselves in positive positions and in a positive mindset? So that consistency is important too. And, you want to be at peace, and that comes from, having fulfilling job and a career and relationships. And also, really, like we said, building that confidence in yourself, proving to yourself that you can handle hard things, and looking back at your journey, reflecting on the things that you've already overcome and how you could continue to overcome things in the future. And, consistency and success goes hand in hand. Yes, healthy parent, healthy child, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Well, we so much thank you for joining us for our Well Educated Wednesdays. And hopefully, you think about some goals or habits that will build some wonderful character traits that will set your child in the path of greatness and, helping us build strong families and communities and healthy, healthy bonds between family members and their children. Thank you again for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. I am TD Flenaugh. We drop new episodes every Saturday at 5 p.m. Join us on YouTube at youtube.com/@fall4learning. youtube.com/fall4learning. You can also catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major podcast platforms. And we appreciate you for joining us and making sure that you have the tools and resources to make sure your children are on track for learning and can stay on track for success. Have a great week. Thanks again.